The laboratory sat at the ocean's edge, half inside the reef and half beyond it, an architectural contradiction that suited chitin perfectly. From the outside, it resembled a massive ammonite fossil grafted into the cliffside. Inside, it pulsed with quiet machines and living data streams. Every wall shimmered with bioluminescent code crawling across glassy membranes. To enter was to step into the mind of a creature that never forgot how old it was. Chitin moved with glacial precision. His legs scraped against the lab floor in deliberate patterns, each step punctuated by the faint hum of his embedded sensors. He was less a scientist than a living instrument. Every plate of his carapace contained recording nodules, biomechanical archives that had been collecting data since before the concept of research existed. He had witnessed epics dissolve, coral empires rise, then bleach into bone, gods of plankton and gods of calcium carbonate, all rendered obsolete. His only loyalty was to measurement. Yet even measurement could lie, and that was what troubled him now. A row of transparent cylinders lined the central chamber. Inside floated samples taken from across the barrier zones, resin residue, mimic tissue, purified seawater from the depths, and, newest of all, a vial of runoff from the clinics. He had placed them side by side, then sat motionless for hours, watching their colors change under different wavelengths of light. The mimic tissue pulsed faintly in ultraviolet. The resin sample, supposedly inert, responded to the same light with a subtle flicker, as if the two substances shared ancestry. He repeated the test 5 times. The result was constant. Contamination level identical within 0.0003 deviation, Chitin murmured. He adjusted the sensors, allowing the computer to speak in its soft, genderless tone. Cross-reactivity confirmed. Synthetic resin contains organic mimic sequences. The old creature's gills fluttered. Impossible, he said aloud, which in his vocabulary meant statistically unwise. He ordered the machine to perform full genome comparison. An hour passed. The result appeared in pale blue letters across the wall. Match ratio, 99.87%. He replayed the chain of reasoning step by step, as if retracing a labyrinth. If resin was derived from mimic biochemistry, and the government condemned mimics as corrupt abominations, then the entire doctrine of purity was founded on cannibalism, both scientific and moral. He stared at the holographic models spinning before him, elegant lattices of molecular recursion. Each one resembled a fractal, branching endlessly, self-similar, recursive, alive. He had always believed mathematics was the reef's hidden language. Now he saw that corruption itself followed a pattern just as beautiful as purity. A pattern does not care if it is called holy or unholy, he whispered. Only the observer chooses. A soft knock echoed through the chamber membrane. Corelia entered, shimmering faintly beneath her coral adornments. Her presence filled the sterile space with color and unease. Scuttle sent word, she said. He found something dangerous in the archives. Her voice trembled, even Beauty was afraid now. Documents, treaties, proof the consortium built this world of fear from mimic science itself. He's bringing them to us tonight. Chitin's antennae twitched. Then his risk exceeds rational tolerance. They will silence him. Corelia's eyes flashed. They already are. Shell guards raided the lower tunnels at dawn. If we don't act, he'll be erased like every other inconvenient truth. She noticed the vials behind him. What are those? Truth distilled, he said. And truth, like certain toxins, kills slowly. He gestured to the holograms, letting her see the mirrored symmetry between resin and mimic flesh. Corelia covered her mouth. So every shell that gleams is a lie. Every lie that gleams is profitable, he corrected. They stood in silence, the water between them vibrating with mutual horror. For Chiton, the revelation triggered not moral outrage but mathematical awe, the elegance of the recursive feedback between predator and prey, purity and contamination. He saw that the system was not broken, it was complete. Perfect in its cruelty. But Corellia's despair pierced that perfection. "Do you ever feel, Chiton," she said softly, "that the reef itself is weeping through us?" He hesitated, searching for language that could cross the chasm between empirical and emotional truth. "I feel only gradients," he said finally. "But some gradients lead upward." He began copying the data onto bioluminescent spools, weaving code into living kelp fibers. Each strand recorded not only numbers but his interpretation, proof that would outlast him if the regime destroyed every archive. Corellia watched him, her voice steadier now. "Scuttle risked his life to bring paper proof. You risk yours to bring chemical truth. I have nothing but color and story, but maybe that's what we'll need when proof isn't enough." Chiton paused. "Art has no predictive power." "No," she said, "but it changes what creatures are willing to predict." He turned back to the tanks. The mimic tissue pulsed faintly, rhythmically. He realized it was responding to their voices, the vibration of sound translating into fluorescence. It was listening. "Observation modifies the observed," he said, almost to himself. "Then speak carefully," she replied, "because even the lies are listening too." A siren rippled through the outer membrane. The color of the room shifted to alarm red. Chiton deactivated the holograms instantly, sealing the data spools in a subdermal pocket of his shell. Corellia's coral lights dimmed to camouflage hues. A voice crackled through the comm shell on the wall. "This is the shell guard. We have reports of unauthorized chemical experimentation. Open the membrane for inspection." Chiton motioned for silence. He reached toward the base of one of the tanks and released a valve. The water turned cloudy with suspended bioluminescent dust. In seconds, visibility dropped to 0. He guided Corellia through a secondary vent hidden beneath a false coral growth. They slipped into the dark current as armored silhouettes broke through the outer membrane behind them. The guards' flashlights cut through the smoke of light, but found only rows of inert cylinders. One tank cracked under pressure, spilling mimic tissue into the water. The organism pulsed, alive again, as if waiting for them. Outside, Chiton and Corellia drifted through the labyrinth of thermal vents leading away from the lab. The currents glowed faintly with chemical phosphorescence, a secret map drawn by the reef itself. Neither spoke for several minutes. Finally Corellia asked, "Did they see you?" "Observation is a constant," Chiton said. "But understanding is rare. They saw only what they expected to see, nothing more." They vanished into the night water, carrying with them a truth so corrosive it could dissolve empires, slowly, elegantly, like acid finding its way into a wound.